Hello friends, in this video we will know about some of the solid editing features. So I go to the geometry panel and go to solid edit. Click on the solid edit and we can find some options such as trim with nodes, trim with lines, trim with surface plane and merge. So I go to this return. Solid edit is very useful feature when we create a geometry mappable. It is used to trim the geometry. So to understand this, we need to create some solids. So I go to the surfaces. Okay, before creating the surface, we need some reference of nodes. So I go to this nodes option. Suppose I create a node at the origin 0, 0, 0. Click create. Press F key from the keyboard to fit into the screen. Then click return and then go to surface. Create a square. The direction we can see Y is going upward, so we need to create on the ZX plane. So click on this Y axis. Base point is this node. Size is 20 and click on create. And then zoom out. We can see a surface is created. So click on this return. And now we have to create a solid object. So click on this solid. Drag along a vector. Select the surface. Y vector is going upward, so select Y axis, give it some distance and click on drag and click return. So in this way we have created a solid. And now we are going to trim this solid. So go to solid edit option and go to trim with nodes. So we see we don't have any nodes. So now we have to select the nodes. So first of all it is asking us to select a solid. So I select this solid and then we have to select nodes. Suppose I want to trim this diagonally. So trim it diagonally, we need to select nodes. So I select this corner node. Right now we can see there is no node into this model. So I go to return and we need to create some nodes. Go to nodes option, click on nodes on geometry and I want nodes on the line. Click on this line, go to this line, click here. And then this line, click here. In the similar way, this line and click somewhere upward. And similarly onto this line, click here. Click return. And then go to solid edit panel. Trim with nodes, select the solid, node list, first node, second node, third node and fourth node. And then click on trim. And we can see this solid has been trimmed. Click on this solid option and then I select this. Now we can see these two solids are selecting differently. So in this way we can trim the solid with nodes. So I click on this reject option, click return. And then we can trim the solid with respect to lines. So we need to create some lines. So I go to this lines option and go to this linear node, select this node and this node, create a line. And on the other side also select this node and this node, create a line. Click on return and then go to solid edit. In here we can select mixed option. Okay, also in mixed it is not showing proper. Okay, select by topo and now we can see the lines. So go to trim with lines. In this we have three options. We can trim it by dragging a cut line or by bounding the line or by swapping a line. So I am selecting this bounding line. So click on this solid, select this solid and select lines. We need at least two cutting lines. So select this first line and then select this second line and click on trim. And now we can see this solid has been trimmed. I go to the solid option. We can see these two are different solids. Click on this reject. In the similar way we can also trim the solid with respect to a drag cut line. So I select the first option, click on the solid, drag a cut line. So hold down the left click and drag a line. Drag a line like this, similarly a line like this and then hit the roller. And now with respect to this line the solid has been cut. So I click on reject The next option is a sweep. So we can sweep a line along any path. So we can sweep with respect to a vector, or we can select two nodes n1 and n2. Suppose I select this solid, click on this solid and go to this line, select the first cutting line. Okay, one line is good, and then go to n1. So n1 and n2 defines the direction of the cut. So this is the first node, click on this n2, and that is the second node. Click on this return and click on trim. And now we can see with respect to this sweeping line, this solid has been cut. So I go to reject option and click on return. So in this way we can create trim with respect to lines. The next option, that is very important option, that is trim with respect to plane or a surface. So to understand this, we need to import a geometry. So I go to return, go to open. So I select this part, that is AHM 16, click on yes, and then go to by part. Okay, we can select by part like this, click on the shaded geometry. Now in this geometry we can see we have a lots of solids that are combined into a single solid. So now we are going to trim this. So we can trim this solid with respect to surfaces. So I go to solid edit. Right now we can see this is a complete single solid, and then we have option of trimming with respect to plane or with respect to surfaces. So I select this solid, and now we have to select a cutting surface. So now we want to cut this section from the solid. So we have to select the surface, and the cutting surface is this surface. Okay, now this complete surface will be a cutting surface. So click on trim. Okay, it is showing no solid selected. Select the solid, surface is this, and trim. Now we can select the solid differently. It means these two are trimmed. Click on reset. And once again we can also trim more surfaces. Suppose this time I want to trim this. So I go to the solid, go to the surface, and I want to trim this with respect to this surface also. So now this is this cutting surface, click on trim. And now this right section is trim from this solid geometry. We can select it, click on reject. In the similar way we can also trim with respect to nodes or by creating a plane. So I go to this plane option. Suppose I select the geometry, and then we need 3 nodes or a plane and a base point. Also we can select any axis, x, y, z axis, vector. Okay, so in the geometry, suppose I want to trim it with respect to nodes. So I select the geometry, in the solid select this, and then select n1, n2, n3. So now click on this first node, second node, third node, and we need a base node, and click on trim. And now we can see this geometry has been trimmed. So since we have selected the base node onto this point, that is why it is cutting it diagonally. So click on reset, reject. Also we can make a cut into this. So select the geometry, n1, n2, n2 is this, then n3 is this, and then the base point is this node. Click on return, trim. Now we have trimmed the geometry with respect to this base node. So click on return. So in this way we can trim the geometry with respect to surface or plane. Once again I go to solid edit and click on this merge. With this merge option we can merge two solids. Okay, so just select them one by one and click on merge. Now we can see these two are single solid. Detach, we can detach a solid from any plane, and then go to Boolean. In this Boolean we can subtract or intersect two surfaces from one another. Like in this case we have a solid. So what we can do is I go to return. We need to create one more geometry. So I go to nodes, nodes on the surface, select this top surface, click here and click for the node, and then return. Go to solid, create a cylinder like full cylinder. This is the bottom. Okay, we need one more node to define the normal vector. Suppose I click here. Okay, we need to create one more node. So go to nodes, select the surface and click here. And then we can create a cylinder. So the base radius, suppose I take 5, height is 100. So bottom center is this node and the normal vector of this node. Click on create. Let's see whether it has created or not. Okay, click on reject. Increase this value, so 20. Let's make it 200. Create. Is it crossing this or not? Okay, let's change the height. Suppose I make it 500. Create. Okay, now it is crossing this. Click on return. Go to solid edit. We need to select two solids. This is the first solid A, that is the second solid B. And then we can select union A plus B. So when we create the union, these two will be converged into a single solid. Right now we can see these two are two different solids. So click on calculate. Okay, we have selected only half portion. So it is creating now a single solid. And then click on reject. We can select the intersection. So select this solid and select this inner part. Click calculate. Now the intersection part is selected. Click on reject. We can remove the material from A to B like this. Select the solid A and this geometry B. Click on calculate. So it is now removed. Okay, we can see the hole inside this. So in this way we can use the solid edit features.